He is an internationally recognized physician and global thought leader in functional and integrative medicine, propagating how simple, science-backed lifestyle decisions in what we eat, how we move, and how we live can mean longevity and meaningful lives. With us now on Thought Leaders, Dr. James Rouse. Good to have you on the program,
Cathy,
Dr. Rouse.
It's an honor. Thank you for having me.
Oh, most welcome, and welcome back to the Philippines.
I love being here.
You've been a balikbayan, as we call them.
Yes.
You've been here multiple times.
This is my third time.
It is.
Yes.
And what changes have you seen in that span?
You know, I think the thing that doesn't change, that's why I keep coming back. I tell my kids, when I come to the Philippines, the Filipino people are quick to smile and quick to love. Quick to smile and quick to love. And I think that is a quality that doesn't change here. That's why I keep coming back. I love that about the people here.
And is that good for our health?
You know, what's really interesting, and there's a lot of good research on this, is that people who are quick to smile, it produces more oxytocin. And oxytocin is the hormone of trust. It's the hormone of love. And what's really interesting, we make eye contact and we smile to someone, stranger or someone that we know and love, immediately we release more oxytocin, helps our heart, helps our brain, helps our immune system, and it's contagious. So that's what I love about coming here.
All right, and you've come here at a time it's festive. It's
Yes.
the Burr months, as they say, and Christmas does start well before Christmas starts in any part of the world. There's a lot of food, as you know, because of the gatherings with families. How do we not get food coma?
You need to define food coma. What is that all about?
Well, from my point of view, it's like eating too much and not being able to digest, perhaps. and
Right?
feel
Or fall
really-
asleep.
Yeah, fall asleep,
Immediately,
and that's pretty
right?
bad, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Well, I think that's a really interesting thing. The Okinawans have something called hara haichi bu, which means eat only to 80% full. And now there's research that suggests when we only eat to 80%, Cathy, it allows our body to process and digest. And interesting enough, we can still eat a lot of things we love during Christmas and the holidays, but our body's ability to handle it is also more supported. It's when we go above 80% until we're full, that's when the issues come in. So self-restraint, and what's really interesting, and this is probably something your mom talked about, when we go slow, this is very interesting too. When we go slow, our body can register satiety and let us know, hey, you know what, you're almost 80% there. Why don't you go ahead and ease up? And then your body will catch up and go, I'm good. And really interesting, this is also something I love about the Philippines, saying grace or saying a prayer before you eat actually makes your pancreas produce more digestive enzymes so your body can actually process the food more readily. So saying grace, which I know prayer here in the Philippines is very, very strong and a beautiful ritual, that also helps your digestion. And that's something a lot of people don't know about.
It makes a lot of sense to go slow. But when
Yes.
you've got a society that's always stuck on social media where everything is fast, get
Yeah.
it done fast, let's get here fast.
Yeah.
How do you slow down?
I take holidays from my phone every day. The same way Christmas is a fabulous holiday. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon, my phone gets hidden till the following morning. So I don't see it from 4 o'clock on because that's family time. I tuck it away because I don't have self-restraint like everyone. I mean, why the phone has become so addictive? When we hear that little buzz, we get that little buzz in our pocket and we immediately can't help ourselves. That's dopamine. And dopamine is what reinforces like, oh my goodness, I must be important. I better pick up my phone. And then all of a sudden we're looking for this to get that same level of dopamine, the same way we would with something exciting back when we were children. But now it's just our phone pretending it's exciting.
Restraint.
Restraint.
How is that possible at a time it's festive? There's a whole lot on the buffet table and viands like lechon. Are you aware of lechon?
Tell me what that is.
Roast pork.
Oh my goodness. I've had that.
Did you like it?
I loved it.
You
Yeah,
did,
that's
and
a
you
tough
didn't
one.
restrain yourself from eating a lot more than you
You
should.
know what? Portions are key, and I think there's a way to do this, Cathy, is we can look at the palm of our hand as a good way of looking at a source. This is kind of a protein. That's a portion. So if our pork fits in this palm, we're good to go. This would be more like the brown rice or the black rice, the red rice, something that's wonderful, or the camote, sweet potatoes. And then this would be your vegetables. So protein, starch, vegetables. There's your guide for portions.
I haven't even told you about bopis. Have you heard of
No.
bopis? Okay,
What is that?
That's like pork innards. It's pork stew, heart stew.
Oh my goodness.
we
We
do
might
eat
have to have
that.
another scale for
Right,
that.
and
like a
another
different
hand
scale.
perhaps. So
Yeah.
when we are exposed to such, and it's a time of celebrating, can we just let go a little bit and just indulge?
Yes, I think that one of the things we get a little bit too intense about, we invite the food police to come into our life, full of judgment, full of criticism. And I think during the holidays, and this is something I feel all of us could use more of, self acceptance and self compassion. When we do that, our body is much more available to handle the extra calories, much more available to produce the enzymes, much more available to keep inflammation down. And I think the thing that I really encourage people during the holidays, don't be hard on yourself because there's already so much going on. Families visiting, uh, the pressure of the holidays, which is so beautiful on one level, but also ramps up so much stress that we have in our life. Let's not add another dimension there about whether or not you're being perfect. I think what's really important this time of the year, surrender to what the season was all about. It's about love, acceptance, compassion, open. When you do that to yourself, you're going to find you're getting nourished without feeling like, because stress hormones drive a lot of our cravings, particularly sugar. But if you begin the day just doing simple things like prayer, self acceptance, meditating, doing some yoga, you're going to increase the hormones and make us feel less driven to overconsume sugar because you've actually managed the stress hormones that actually drive the inclination towards sugar in the first place.
And it's also all about social health. And that's an abundance that we have here. Families coming together. There's a lot of generational joy, if you will, in the Philippines. And that also contributes to mental health, which is important to the whole holistic sense of being well.
See, Kathy, here's the thing that's so beautiful about what you have in the Philippines. And this is something I feel like a lot of countries across the world need to learn about what you have here. The number one barometer for keeping people on the planet healthy, long and healthy, is family connection. It's social connection. It's having someone in your life who loves you, someone in your life that you love. It's actually beyond financial. It's beyond the job that you have, the social status. Number one, beyond anything, is about how many people do you have in your circle who care about you. And you wake up in the morning, and those are the people that you lean into. So what the Philippines have, the Filipino people have, is what science tells us what the whole world can learn from. So you're doing so well here with that.
But we're all full of sugar, aren't we, in our diet? which is
you
a big
just stole my
no-no.
story. Yeah. So yeah, and I think this is again going back.
But again,
to,
that's cultural. I
it's
mean, it's
cultural.
nothing to be ashamed or
No. Listen,
because
shame.
it's yes.
Shame is so toxic. We can say, I'm going to set a goal. I'm going to have just one slice of whatever that sugary dessert is. I'm going to make sure that before I have that sugary dessert, I'm going to take a walk with someone I love. Because when we walk, we improve our insulin sensitivity so our body can handle the sugar more. So I love the idea of balance versus abstinence, and certainly versus shame. And I think what we find in the holidays is that this is a time of celebrating, and it's a time when we really feel sort of that sense of hope and possibility. And I don't feel it's going to be a good thing for any of us to put ourselves in the shame prison to say, I'm going to really try to be good this year, and I'm not going to have any joy either, because I'm going to be thinking about the food that I'm not having the whole time.
All right, because there's this old adage as well, being Filipino, is that, yeah, I can eat a lot over Christmas because I'm going to lose it anyway in the new year. And it's going to be my New Year's resolution.
Huh. So how does that work, do you think, for people?
I mean, is that healthy? I mean, it works out for a lot because I've seen friends lose weight, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But has that been healthy through the years?
I think that's where the big story comes in. I'm in my early 60s. So when I look at my life over the last 30 years, and I look at my parents, my grandparents, the thing that I see more and more during the holidays is that over time, I think our commitment can tend to erode. Maybe when we're in maybe 30s or 40s, when we're like, I still got this real sense of zeal to, after the holidays, to get those intentions going, make those resolutions. You just have to be honest with yourself. And I think the thing that eating anything you want is that if that's where you're at, ask yourself the next question. What am I trying to accomplish? Is it just to have as much of food as I want, all the things I want? Or would I love to feel a sense of balance when I actually get to January 1st and feel like I didn't deprive myself, but I'm also not feeling like, oh my goodness, I'm starting over from ground zero. So if you can be in a place where you can do an honest inquiry, and that's how it works for you, I think the thing that we have to realize is more and more is that as we get older, that ability to be metabolically awesome does decrease, because what tends to happen is we're losing lean muscle. And a lot what happens during the holidays, we're not exercising the same way. And a lot also happens, we lose lean muscle, and that is what drives our metabolism. So here's a great scenario. You're eating all the things you love to do within reason, but you're also taking a yoga class in the morning. You're also taking your partner, your husband, your wife for a walk, your grandchildren. So you're actually making sure you're integrating little snacks of fitness as part of the other snack protocol. And then all of a sudden, you're going to find yourself moving into the new year going, oh my gosh, I haven't felt this good in years. And I did all the things that I love to do, but I added 20 minutes of fitness snacks, and that allowed me to actually feel a great sense of balance.
Okay, so that's very conditional. If you want to eat everything on the table during this festive season, make sure you work in a little bit of a fitness snack.
Right. And that doesn't have to be like hours in the gym. The beautiful thing is that even doing something simple, let's say you're in the kitchen, you're preparing food, and you're waiting for something for 5 minutes just to happen. So Cathy, you've got a counter in your kitchen. You literally could just do a modified plank. And what that's going to do, your hands holding yourself up, not a full push-up, just using the countertop, what that'll do, it'll improve your insulin sensitivity. So that little 5 minutes served your metabolism for the next 3 to 5 hours just by doing that one little integration. And then you get done with that, you're going, okay. And all of a sudden, the cravings are also improved because glucose had a place to go, which was in your muscle. I think, Cathy, and what I've loved about getting to know you and your show is giving people all the different ways in which it's not about all or nothing. It's how do we do little things together that allow us to have the joy in our life. And I think along as whether you look at thought leadership, you get a chance to be the person in your family who teaches this. You get to be the person in your family who's contagious. You talk about the little things about that you did in the kitchen. You tell someone about it. People love hope. We need to give people hope. And I think right now, thought leaders, leadership, number one quality of leaders, you know this, Cathy, who makes people feel hopeful? The number one quality of this great leader is the one who makes people feel the most hopeful. Be a leader in your family. Be the one who actually catalyzes a different way of doing things. Be the one who's not telling people what to do, but modeling what you could do.
It's an interesting journey you've had. I know that you used to be a vegan.
Yes.
But then you modify that for yourself. You became your own leader to your own body. You listen to
Yes.
your body. But talk us through the different stages there, that there really isn't any right or wrong.
Right.
It's really what you feel. And you
It-
felt that you wouldn't want to be a vegan anymore. And you're shifting to another sort of a diet.
I think that this is something that we all need to ask our bodies and our mind, because a lot of what I was hoping to accomplish as a vegan was just to eat really clean, have a lot of plants. I'd read all the studies. I was in medical school. I was like, oh my gosh, it seems so compelling. This is a thing to do. And then after medical school, I found myself feeling more fatigued, and I was feeling myself less vital. I was like, gosh, I'm gonna do some blood work, and I'm gonna look at how things are going. And there were some blood markers that weren't where they used to be because my body had changed. And then you give yourself permission to say, what would I love to feel? And then you can look at different foods and what they do. Certain foods have certain types of proteins, amino acids. Amino acids are the building blocks for serotonin. That's your joy hormone. Other ones actually help you build dopamine. That's your motivation hormone. So you can really start getting particular about what foods produce certain feelings and emotions, and then start to curate your diet, not whether it's vegan or carnivore, but how do I want to feel? And I'm going to choose foods that give me that feeling predictably. What a powerful way to be like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have this fiber source this morning. Why? Because it balances my blood sugar in the afternoon. I'm gonna eat dark chocolate. Why? Because dark chocolate augments a couple of key neurotransmitters that make me feel confident, that make me feel hopeful. And every in the afternoon at 2 o'clock, when cortisol levels go up, which is stress, I get a chance to actually turn it into good stress by having a slice or a little serving of dark chocolate. It actually modifies the stress response. So we get a chance to kind of play with our food to have a certain predictable outcome. And that's what wellness should be all about. It shouldn't be punitive. It shouldn't be heavy. It should be joyous and hopeful and make you feel possible.
So you don't get to plan for this. I mean, it depends on what you feel or the food availability. I mean, what sort of scenario do you build every single day for your meals?
Number one, I wake up in the morning and I have a very large coffee and I put a lot of protein in the coffee. So
What
my
kind of
wife says
protein?
you're ruining your coffee.
What kind of protein are you putting?
I'm putting in a combination of plant-based protein and whey protein. So I put those two things together. Why? Because they literally help to generate the type of neurochemistry that gives you a sense of hope and possibility and resilience. So I put that in my coffee, and that's at 4 a.m. So I wake up, I have a cold coffee with protein, and then after I finish my workout, my sauna, I have a giant omelet with a ton of kale and broccoli and avocado. So that's my second breakfast. And then a whole bunch of nuts and seeds. Why? Because all those essential fats. And one of the things you have here, you have the best avocados here. You can literally build a campaign around an avocado a day as part of your predictable protocol. And Cathy, during the holidays when people are going, oh, the fat, this and that, avocados are the most extraordinary healthy fat, and they produce a lot of the antioxidants that help us to fight aging, help us to age in a much more healthy, effective way. So these are all the amazing things that we can do every single day. And I think the thing I always tell my patients, give yourself permission to feel good about yourself. Don't give yourself permission to shame yourself. Find the things that make you feel good and repeat them. Repeat them over and over again. You build a life where you have a sense of possibility and hope for the people around you. There's something called epigenetics. I think the Filipino people are so awesome when it comes to this. They see their grandparents, they see their parents, they see how they are spending time together, the foods that they're eating. This is all in our genes. Genes transfer, as you know, generation to generation. If your grandfather was walking, he was eating avocados, he was having the kamote, follow that because your grandfather was doing all the right things. You may not want to have the same type of diet he was having, but choose the things that he really built staples around. And that's going to help you to live long and strong too, just the way your grandfather is.
But it's a little bit more difficult when you're finding that there's a lot more sugar being served in restaurants, maybe even in coffee. How do you then sort of go around that? If it's already maybe innate in the culture or to the culture?
That takes a lot of will, doesn't it? Because you have to really be an advocate for yourself. And because sugars become so common, adding more sugar, refined sugars, to help people to have something that they love to taste. And when they have something that's not with a lot of sugar, it's like, oh, I don't like the taste of this. We can train our taste buds to not always want to have sugar. But when you're going out for dinner, yeah, you've got to be a pretty strong advocate for yourself because it's everywhere. And one of the things I've seen, and a lot of the data and the research we see here in the Philippines is that the Filipino people on average live about 70 to 71 years, which is fantastic. But there's something called health span. And health span is basically, well, for those 70 years, how much are you feeling great? How much of those 70 years are you disease free? And this is where the Filipino people are really having a challenge right now. We are seeing higher incidence of heart disease, higher incidence of diabetes. And this is because we're getting away from our traditional diet. We're having more sugar. We're not taking care of our bodies the same way. So this is a call to action to return to the roots of what we did, our parents, our grandparents, because they were living a longer health span. And we have an opportunity to have those 70 years be lived with a lot of vitality and a lot of vigor, and more than anything, a lot of happiness.
A lot of it as well is economic, if you will, because the healthy foods are a little pricier than those that are not. So how then do we tackle the socio-economic gap? If those who have the extra money to buy what's healthful, what happens then to the rest of those who can't afford it?
That is a giant issue. Exactly. And that's one of the reasons why, and I know when I come here and have opportunities to speak and to share, and I come here with the folks at Healthy Options, what I love about what Healthy Options has done, they create a world in which people from all socioeconomic backgrounds can find something healthy and at a price point that works for them between the produce, whether it's the proteins, and even some of the snacks they provide. What I've loved about working alongside of them is that they've really created a place that no matter where you are on the socioeconomic scale, there's a place that you can begin. You may not be able to have every part of your world all day long reinforced by wellness, but if you can start with one meal or one snack Or even just what I love to say when I was working with patients, they'd say, well, if I can only do one thing, I would say start off with a handful of nuts, almonds, pistachios. Why? Because what they will do, they'll balance your blood sugar. Now, what's beautiful about nuts and seeds, very inexpensive, incredibly nutrient dense. And this gives us a place to actually build the campaign where we're starting with something we can afford, but also something that has an ROI, which is the return on intention, not just the investment, that literally allows us to feel different just based on the fiber source, the magnesium, all these things that happens in nuts and seeds literally are the foundation for how we can feel well.
You didn't even mention the meats in your diet for a day. The chicken, salmon, that hasn't even come in. Not even the beef.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about protein?
Yeah, I mean, how much do you have off it?
I'm a fairly protein-centric person, upwards neighborhood of 150 to 200 grams a day. Based on the latest data, we've been under-proteining ourselves for a long, long time. So if you're somebody who weighs roughly, let's say you weigh 120 pounds, you want to have at least 90 to 120 grams of protein. So 1 gram per pound of body weight. So for a lot of us, utilizing things like protein powders is a way that we can literally get to that level. That's not like having to feel like, oh my gosh, I gotta have yet another chicken breast or yet more steak. Use protein powders in the mid-morning, mid-afternoon to actually get your protein quotient. Or again, things like nuts and seeds. And really interesting, things like broccoli actually have more grams of protein than a steak does based on the weight of steak versus the weight of broccoli. If you have a pound of broccoli and a pound of steak, you're going to get more protein in the broccoli. People don't know that. Vegetables have a lot of protein, particularly when they're coming from crucifers.
So in terms of weight then, I mean, is that a consideration given that building mass is also very important for the strengthening?
Yes. So your body is going to be absolutely dependent on your metabolic engine, which is lean muscle. And here's what's interesting. As we age, particularly after age 30, we start to see upwards of 3 to 5% of lean muscle mass loss every decade after age 30. So when you're 60, I could have lost by this point 15, even 20% of my lean muscle mass. But here's the interesting thing. We lose it not because we're aging, we lose it because we decide, oh, I'm 60, I don't exercise anymore. I'm 70, I don't lift weights anymore. But a study that was done at Harvard, they took 90-year-old people, 90 to 93 years old, who hadn't exercised in over 30 years, 8 weeks in the gym, 110% increase in strength, and they literally doubled their muscle mass at age 90. Not because they were 90 and awesomely healthy, because these were 90-year-olds who weren't exercising for decades. But it just shows, no matter what our age is, Cathy, all we have to do is decide to get back into movement. We don't have to lift weights. We can just go for a walk. We can do modified squats while we're doing the dishes. Anything that engages our muscle improves our metabolism.
So weight doesn't matter. I mean, you could be over the typical weight, but feel healthy and be healthy.
Based on your lean muscle mass that's underneath that. But what's so beautiful, if you keep that up, there's a pretty good chance that muscle mass is eventually going to help your metabolic engines turn back on. So you're going to see more definition happening. And I think the beautiful thing about muscle, it's really interesting. When we exercise, we release something called myokines. So myokines are these chemicals that during exercise, they call them hope molecules. So when we talk about the runner's high, when people go for a run, it makes them feel more positive. When you use your muscles like lifting weights or doing Pilates or doing yoga, you actually release these myokines. And myokines have one job: optimism, hope, positivity. So it's the number one way that we actually build that emotional resilience. And I think during the holidays, when there's so many things going on, simple things that we can do, Cathy, literally can change the way we navigate that entire season. And as a side effect, our metabolism is going great.
Through the holiday season and after that.
And after that, you've got that momentum. You're not trying to go, okay, now it's resolution time, get back to work. It's like, no, I'm just going to keep doing what I was doing because those little fitness snacks were amazing for me. They kept me going through the holidays. I've never felt more positive. I was sleeping well. My digestion was good. I was doing all the things. And You're not trying to begin again. You're just going to be continuing on.
So it's okay to have a cheat day
Of course it is.
or days?
I'm a big fan of cheat days, meaning that all the days. And I'm a big fan of utilizing things like sweet potato pie. And I'm always going to come back to kamote.
Kamote
Kathy.
again.
Because-
Is it really
because
your favorite?
It is my favorite.
Did you
because
discover it here in the
I
Philippines?
did.
You did?
Yeah, the purple ones in particular.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. And when you have that as a dessert, it actually improves your insulin sensitivity. So it actually is helping you metabolically speaking. So if you have a little slice of something like that, or you have dark chocolate, these are the kinds of things they don't feel like, oh, I'm going to try to wait until Saturday to have my one day. But if I have something every single day, it's a little something. When Saturday comes, you don't tend to overdo it. You feel like you're not like going, oh my goodness, I've been starving myself for 6 days. Now I'm going to jump right in. You're like, I'm good. I'm going to go ahead and have this every single day. Why? Because it makes me feel positive and I can do this and not feel like I'm losing control.
We also have herbal teas and a
Yes.
lot of that.
Yes.
Have you tried any of them? And would you
Tell me which
recommend-
one's your favorites.
Something that's made of lemongrass.
Okay. Love that. How about ginger?
Ginger's good, yeah.
Ginger's really good. So during the holidays when we tend to overeat, ginger tea is good for digestion. It also helps fight inflammation. So ginger tea is amazing. So that's a perfect thing to do with your lemongrass. And those two together are fantastic.
We also have hilot, and it's a deep tissue massage.
Oh my gosh, tell me about that.
Is that something that can be worked in and should be worked in
Oh,
to a sort of integrative medicine, sort of a scenario for anybody who wants to remain healthy?
muscle, particularly if we're not used to exercising, when we start getting back to exercise, any type of myofascial release can be literally life-changing for people. What we know is that in our joints and our connective tissue, we store emotions. So we have to literally find ways to help with release, not only so we can move, just so we're not feeling the heaviness, what happens typically emotionally when our body feels stuck or inflamed. So that type of work is so helpful.
Interesting you mentioned emotions stuck in and maybe a knee or joints.
Yes.
How does that happen?
It's really interesting. If we've had an injury or we have a trauma in our life emotionally, say you saw something as a child and now 10, 20, 30 years have gone by. But that trauma has to find a place to live unless we've gone through therapy or gone through some type of counseling. And what's really interesting, Kathy, a lot of people who've seen hard things, have been through hard things, you're going to find that those emotions have to have a place to go. They'll house themselves in joints, muscles, part of our brain, the limbic system. So when we do release work, you're going to find, oh gosh, I was crying during this therapy. Where did that come from? That could be something that happened as a child, a trauma. It could be something that happened to you as an adult where it wasn't safe to talk about it. So you just kind of stuffed it inside and didn't talk about it. That's where this type of therapy and this type of muscle work can be so helpful. And I think for a lot of people, trauma is a huge area in integrative medicine. The world can be hard for a lot of us. And I think when the world is hard, sometimes we feel like we got to put a face on, put a smile on, be strong, be that person. And sometimes we do that over and over again. We just kind of suppress the emotions. So I feel like it's important, especially during the holidays, be with family. Talk openly about what's going on in your life, because that helps our bodies and our minds to lighten the load, to release the heaviness, which is such a big part of why holidays are so wonderful, is that we can be open and honest and celebratory versus feeling we're suppressing and keeping the true emotions that we're feeling from being fully expressed.
And which includes collective trauma, if you will,
Yes.
with governance issues now that the Philippines is facing, a lot of Filipinos feeling angry. How then do we resolve something that we can't actually resolve on our own?
I'd love to answer that in a way that I can from a person who lives in a country where we also have similar issues right now, America. What I tell a lot of my patients, and I tell myself this every day, and I would tell the people who I love here in the Philippines, there's something called self-efficacy, Kathy. And what self-efficacy simply means is that the brain and our emotions work very strongly with one habit. And there's a part of the brain called the anterior cingulate cortex. It's a muscle where if we've got hard things going on, collective trauma, anger, We feel like we don't have a voice that's being heard. What we know from science is that when we wake up first thing in the morning, choose something that stretches you. Choose something that's hard. Like say, I don't walk in the morning, but I'm going to start walking in the morning every morning. Here's why this matters. If you wake up in the morning and you watch the news and you get more collective trauma, more anger, cortisol levels rise. More anxiety, more anger, more pain, more all the things we don't want. But if you take a walk first thing in the morning and do it because you don't normally do it and it's stretching you, something you normally wouldn't do, the anterior cingulate tells the brain, be confident, be a leader of your own life. Feel less stress and less anger because you have a different way that you are leading your life. And our brain reflects on different cues we give our brain, tells our mind, you're doing things differently. Now, does it change government? I'm a big believer that the more people who rise together in their own self-care and the way that places that we go every single morning to say, I'm finding a part of myself that I never knew I had. I'm finding courage. I'm finding confidence. I'm finding love for myself. I go out in the world and I become contagious. We have these things called mirror neurons, Cathy. If you take that walk in the morning and all of a sudden you're feeling this sense of hope, you walk out in the world, you go to the market, you go into healthy options, you're going to have people look at you and they go, I don't know what it was about that person, but when I saw that person, I wanted to do things differently. It's called what they call emotional contagion. The most powerful countries, the most powerful political leaders really are the ones that give people the most hope. So if you say, I'm not a leader, I'm just a business person, I'm just running a company, you're not just running a company, you're running a culture. And the more people see hope in your eyes because you did something that morning when no one was watching you, you walk into the office, people respond differently. Science tells us everything that you did that morning becomes a way shower for your team, for your family, for even strangers. I think, Cathy, what we need to do when we're feeling overwhelmed, feeling collective trauma, we need to bring our power back to where we can begin ourselves and say, what makes me feel powerful? And I'm going to trust this becomes a force of contagion for what's going on around me. Movements happen by one person deciding, I'm going to do things differently. And contagion ensues from there.
And that's happened in Indonesia, Nepal, Madagascar, Morocco.
The list goes on. People deciding, I'm going to be the one who shows people to be the change I wish to see and be in the world. And give myself permission to be that person and watch how the people around us look and say, I want what that person's doing. I want to feel the way that person feels. Humans love to see humans taking action, especially when it's heart-centered. That's the beautiful thing about humanity. That's why I love integrative medicine. It all starts in the heart, Cathy. And that's why it's contagious to societies, to countries, to change.
So that's the kind of global wellness that we're seeing right now, integrative medicine. But where you're coming from as a nutritionist, when you first visited the Philippines in, say, 2009,
yes,
how has that evolved then? And where are we in that journey? Are we well ahead or are we a little bit a ways back?
I think
Where
what
are
we
you
are,
plotting
I think the
us?
science has gone way ahead. When you walk into a healthy options or a store that has a lot of healthy food, you can ask a person and go, I'm feeling this way. They're going to go, well, the science tells us, boom, 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 do these things. 15 years ago, it was still pretty nuanced. 20 years ago, it was brand new. But now the science has caught up. And now the science makes us feel a sense of trust. Now you go, these are the foods you want to focus on. Here's the exercise you want to do. Here's the supplements you want to take. Because the science has now gone so far. And that's a beautiful thing. Now you can trust it.
So the supplements make up for the deficiencies,
For the
if you will,
deficiencies or
in your diet.
yes, or even when I work with different CEOs and leaders, they always say, is time management the most important thing? I'm saying it's important. Energy management is the most important thing. So I'll talk to people about making sure that there's something called the mitochondria. from science class in high school, Kathy, there was that little cell that had the little factory of energy. There are supplements that literally help to improve how the mitochondria functions. And what research tells us, entrepreneurs, CEOs, politicians, leaders in general, when their mitochondria is functioning at its best, their ability to ideate, to be creative, to lead through change, to be resilient is all connected to that part of our brain and that part of the cell that in the mind itself, when your mitochondria is working well, you become a transcendent leader because you have the confidence, but you also have the physiological prowess to actually follow through. Steve Jobs is a great example. He used to say, don't make any unnecessary decisions until you have to. He'd say, build your morning predictably. Every single morning, know what you're going to wear, know that you're going to exercise, know what you're going to have for breakfast. Don't use any of your thought capital, any of your creative capital until you have to. So he was famous to say, for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, I don't make any decisions. It's already done because I have non-negotiables and I don't sway from those. Every great leader has energy, but only a capacity for a certain amount of energy. Don't waste it on things that matter. Like, oh, I wonder if I'll walk today. I wonder if I'm going to eat kamote today. I wonder if I'm going to have whatever. Have it be a non-negotiable. Be the kind of person that you say, my first 5 things of the day, I never debate myself. I follow through. I love myself. I do these things. And you're going to have so much more capacity to lead your company, to lead your family, to lead your country.
Fads have come and go, and one thing that sticks is the intermittent fasting.
Yes.
And it's worked for some of the folks I knew because they did lose weight. But is it healthy at all?
It's again kind of like not a one size fits all. For a lot of people, it's amazing, life-changing. For others, they're like, oh my gosh, I felt horrible intermittent fasting. I think where we can all kind of look to a kind of a reasonable window, 12 hours. Like I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna eat at 7 in the morning, but I'm gonna be done at 7 at night. So I have another 12 hours to really recover. Some people say, well, that's not enough. I want to just do 6 hours. You got to find the window that works for you because there's no such thing as saying everyone should do an 8-hour, everyone should do a 12-hour. I think really what science tells us, somewhere between 10 and 12 hours seems to be reasonable for most people.
Did it work for you? If you've tried it?
I usually am eating by 4 in the morning because that's when I get up. So I have the protein coffee, and I'm usually trying to be done by 5. So I'm more like a 13-hour eater. I found intermittent fasting wasn't really effective for me, but I've had patients with diabetes that literally said, that's the only thing that helped me lose weight and the only thing that got my blood sugar back to where I needed it. So it does work for a lot of people.
You've mentioned earlier here in the Philippines that there are a lot more who are suffering from sugar-related illnesses.
Yes.
Like diabetes.
Yes.
How do we approach that, and what can we learn from what the Americans are doing because they're also suffering the same?
Yes, they are. What we're trying to do in America right now, Kathy, is really try to get companies who make the food be better. Because particularly for socioeconomic challenges, when someone doesn't have disposable income to buy healthy all the time, we need to depend on food manufacturing to do the right thing versus creating high sugar foods. We know you can always do it better. So we have a lot of lobbying going on. Now, if that's not something we can go, well, I'm going to wait till the lobbying efforts finally get food to change. What we want to do is start off every single morning and say, before I begin my day, I'm going to make sure the one food I start my day with is protein. Because if I do that, my cravings for sugar is going to go down immediately. So if there's only one thing we can do, start your day with protein and allow your metabolism and your blood sugar to guide you from there. So you don't have to use willpower all day long. Your physiology is going to be working for you.
In terms of technology, as AI is all over, and how it actually maybe enables integrative medicine, can it actually replace a doctor at this stage? Because we've heard of AI apps that offer mindfulness exercises, and even as far as cognitive behavioral therapy programs.
Yeah.
You've seen them and you've worked with them?
I do. I mean, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, is life-changing. And there's a lot of great programming happening with AI right now that can introduce a lot of new ways that we can modify behaviors. And that's really what AI is so good at and also so scary about. It modifies behaviors. So it's all about the user. Who's going to use it? How do you want to use it? Because you can prompt it to do exactly what you'd like to do. So ask your AI to say, design a day for me where I can be more present. Design a day for me where I can be more mindful. Give me a breathing practice that I can do first thing in the morning before I look at my phone. And then all of a sudden, I've already got AI helping me to be much more balanced, more powerful, more thoughtful by asking it to be that for you. That's the key, right? It's all about the prompts that we use and prompting it to actually be your friend and an ally for your well-being. Will it replace medicine? I think from a diagnosis standpoint, it can be incredibly effective. But like I've had this blessing of spending time with you today. You can't replace this, I believe. Part of healing is communication with another human being, having a heart-to-heart conversation with your doctor, with your friend, with your bestie, with your partner. This can't be replaced, I hope, and I pray. And I hope that good doctors do good medicine. They make sure that they spend time with their patient. They make their patient feel hopeful. They're not talking to AI and AI is just going, hey, you need to reduce your sugar. I want someone who's going to go, I know who you are and I know you can always do better. And I love you enough to want you to do better. That's medicine. That's humans talking, not AI giving us a recipe for change.
And humans making relationships work, because you just celebrated your 32nd wedding anniversary.
That's right.
With your lovely wife in a podcast.
Yes.
And you have discussed
Yes.
what it takes to have a healthy relationship. In a nutshell.
In a nutshell,
what works out for a couple that stays for more than 30 years?
I think the
with
most
2 kids.
important thing, grow together. Not necessarily together like everything you have to do is together, but you, Cathy, and I have to independently say, I want to continue to become interesting as a person. I want to continue to grow and be an interesting person. I want to make sure I don't just kind of say, you know what, I hit 50, I'm just going to kind of just cruise from here. One of the things my wife and I love, we love to learn. We want to continue to be interesting to each other. We still date. Twice a week we go out for dates. Why? Because that's interesting. That makes you feel attractive. That makes you feel loved. Makes you feel important. So our secret is simple. What made us fall in love will keep us in love. What made us fall in love will keep us in love.
Does it also help to keep the family fit, because you're into the fitness, health, and wellness? I mean, how do they live their lives right now?
Our oldest daughter just finished another marathon this past Sunday in Chicago. Our youngest daughter is in healthcare in Boston, and they both run. They both do yoga. They grew up with 2 parents who kind of modeled it, but we never were the parents who said, oh, you should go out for a run, or hey, I wouldn't eat that if I were you. We never did that. We just hopefully modeled, we're happy. This is what we do that makes us happy. Modeling is a huge part of parenting, right? Kids want to see happy parents. Kids want to see parents who are interested in life. That's kind of what we try to do for our kids. So far, it's working out.
So if they took an extra scoop of ice cream or put their hand in the
would I go,
cookie jar.
what are you doing? No, I would never do that.
You have not, as a parent.
No, in fact, I love making...
kept them from eating what they should not.
Absolutely. No, I think, again, cravings are a lot about what's maybe missing. Like, what am I craving? I'm craving love. I'm craving attention. I'm craving peace of mind. In good relationships, we typically get a lot of those things, right? It's kind of healthy part of that. I think when we isolate ourselves, when we're socially pulled back from others, that's where a lot of the challenges begin with things like sugar and medicating ourselves with carbohydrates that are not healthy. So with our kids, we didn't have a ton of junk food in the house, but we always had ice cream. My wife loves to bake. She's a cake maker. She's a pie baker. Those are always in the house. But again, the kids just didn't feel like it was, we better eat this up because it's not going to be here next week. It was always there next week. So they never felt like I had to overdo it.
So how are you celebrating the Christmas holidays?
Like we always do. And you know what's so great? I was staying at the Shangri-La this past week, EDSA, and a gentleman who I met there saying, do you guys carol in Colorado? And I said, you bet. And he goes, that's the best part. So we carol. We go around our neighborhood and carol and sing. We always have, we call them chosen family dinners for people who live far away from their family and can't get home. We have them to our house to have for meals. And the thing we do every single morning during the whole Christmas holiday, we read and watch Christmas specials and listen to music. Christmas music starts well before Christmas. So it's just in the house.
No
Christmas
food?
Is,
No
what's that?
buffet?
The
spread?
buffet?
The
Oh my
buffet.
gosh, yes. The buffet is, yeah, all those things. But the things that I love more than anything is doing stories about all the Christmases we've had and doing FaceTime with my mom and having her share Christmas
How
stories.
young is your mom?
Yes.
How young is she?
My mom is 86.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And still, and she was born on Christmas Day. Her name is Carol, Christmas Carol. So it's just part of our family. So we celebrate, we love it, and our kids.
She's a health and fitness buff as well?
Well, you know, I mean,
86.
She's 86, so there's fitness by itself.
Okay.
And she has infectious joy, Cathy. So I think that's her secret. She is a lover of life. She goes to church 7 days a week. She celebrates her relationship with God. That keeps her going. She's amazing.
Final question.
Yes.
Your New Year's resolution.
You know, can I say something kind of corny? Do we say corny in the Philippines?
Sure we do.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I knew I was going to be on your show, I want you to hear this. I did some research. I was like, oh my gosh, she's incredible. You're incredible. And I said, and I pray every day. I said to God, I must be doing something well to get a chance to be on a show with you. I must be doing something well to work with Healthy Options, who I love. I must be doing something well. So God, keep me doing the things that help me to be having friendships with people like Cathy, to have people in my life like Healthy Options, because that's my intention. That's my resolution, to not ever be less grateful for all the blessings I have in my life. So these things continue to happen in my life. This is medicine. Thank you for having me.
And thank you so much for coming. I am so filled with gratitude that you've come to spend it with
Thank
us.
you, Cathy.
And on this
It was an
beautiful
honor.
holiday season.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dr. James. Rouse. Catch us again next Thursday, 9 p.m. Philippine Standard Time on One News. You can also check out the long conversation on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. And if you haven't done so, like or follow my social media pages. I'm Cathy Yang, and this is Thought Leaders.